We stay with this particular story and we'll look at this crisis, and we see then, when it comes to the community approach, what is needed to deal with this, and what are some of the young people saying, when it comes to this issue of underage pregnancy, the statutory rape, but also at the same time, you then are hearing that even kids who are underage as well are also parents. They're becoming parents in some of the instances. And what does it mean if a 16-year-old and a 15-year-old have now become parents, if a 12-year-old has given birth? So certainly quite a lot of questions need to be asked about the community engagement, the involvement, and what some of these young people are saying we are missing when it comes to the conversations that we should be having with them, if at all, or what exactly is going on here. So let's speak to somebody who's got her ear on the ground. She's there always with young people and speaking to them, and that's Zonke Shazi-Hlongwane, who is the CEO of Ikusasa, Ngelami, and a child and youth care practitioner. Zonke, good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time. Very, very disturbing to see once again that we are here as a nation where we're talking about teenage pregnancy, which is something that you tackle almost every day of your life. A 12-year-old giving birth in the Eastern Cape, and you and I have had a number of conversations about children giving birth. How do you react to what we are seeing now?
I'm taking this as an opportunity and a space where we truly are going to now lock arms and make a call to many parents who might have been in denial. I think all these stats and what is happening is a wake-up call to all of us. And for me, I'm seeing that there's actually a step forward where even parents who did not think this is happening, who are still in denial, can now come through and bring their thoughts on the table. If we look at these stats or look at what is happening, it's only because we are zooming in during the festive season. The issue here is this happens throughout the year. A 12-year-old giving birth, we've had this conversation where we were looking at even 10-year-olds falling pregnant. So we seriously need to put measures in place, and now we need to stop talking and engage on serious practical strategies that will allow children to be part of this conversation and see how serious this is. It's time we engage them, it's time we educate them, and it's time we connect with them in a meaningful way, not just talking about them, but involving them in the situation and the solutions.
And Zonke, you speak to them, quite often, and they tell you things, of course, and the difficulties that they are facing. Let's speak about where they believe that adults are failing them and where they believe that things are going wrong for them to then engage in sexual activity at such a young age and then bringing children into the world.
I think what's lacking is connection and meaningful conversations. When parents try to speak to their children about sex, or when they do, they only speak about just sex and what it means and discouraging children. Mostly girls would like a connection with their parents. They would like that they can trust their parents, and they always worry about the issue of parents being judgmental and not understanding where they come from. I actually have a chat with girls, and most of them worry that their parents would not approve of them even dating, let alone talking about issues of sex. So there's quite a lot of disconnection between mother and daughter, or parents and daughter. But the percentage of our country shows that families are headed by single moms. So that is why I'm talking about single parents. When it comes to boys now, boys are always talking about the pleasure of sex, how exciting it is, how many girls they've slept with, versus the risk that they put themselves in. So it's a mixture of children not feeling like they are heard or there's a connection, as well as boys thinking that sex is just about the feeling and the excitement, and they don't make a connection with how serious it is and how much it's putting young girls' lives at risk.
Is that possibly, maybe caused by the fact that of something you said earlier on, that some parents are in denial. They look at their little ones and they say, no, 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 my child cannot be having sex at this time. So certainly I don't need then to start talking to them about sex and even the deeper meaning of it and the consequences in some cases.
No, 100%. And I do empathize with parents because talking to children about sex can really be complicated. It can be hard. And remember, we parent the way we were parented. If sex is treated as a taboo subject in our communities, and there are parents who still tell their children that children come from helicopters and many other myths, then we know that parents are really finding it awkward to speak to their children. But what's really lacking is connection and a non-judgmental attitude, as well as how to approach this in a way that your child would believe you and be able to come back to you should there be anything that they are facing, or if they are ready for maybe to engage sexually. So I think it's all those factors that come into play.
And, I suppose, as you say, it's different styles of parenting. For example, I know I had the conversation with my mom very early on, and the dangers and everything, and she explained everything, including condoms and all of that. But what happens then when a parent is not able to do that? How do they begin to break the ice and say that, okay, now let's sit down, let's talk about what this is, and what could, the consequences be? Where do parents who are afraid begin?
I think it all starts with awareness. Once parents are aware of the danger they're putting their children in when they don't start these conversations, then they know to put aside the shame, to put aside their own beliefs and be child-centered. So the parents should just understand. You know what I always say to parents that I help in parenting? I say, I would like to help them become practitioners in their own homes. I even make an example of a nurse, a female nurse. They nurse every kind. They nurse a male, they nurse a female. You'll never find a female nurse saying, I'm not able to look at a male. They are professionals. So I tell parents, treat your home so serious that you know that you can tackle any conversation. I know it's difficult, but right now, children are being exposed. They're in danger. This situation needs parents to come through and play their part. And if they're failing, they should then reach out for help instead of burying their heads down and hoping that the situation will disappear. It will not.
And how does social media also further complicate this picture?
I actually have authored a book, Girl, You're Enough. I do say that social media has played a huge role in convincing girls that, education is not something that they should focus in. Instead, they should find a blesser or someone older. I mean, I find trending conversations about 60-year-olds and how much they provide comfort, how much they buy any kind of hair you want, expensive phones. And remember, children or teenagers are exposed to this. At the moment, children from the age of 10 years are owning smartphones. So they are exposed to material that is older than them. And once they're exposed, they already want to explore. So social media is playing a huge role in creating a culture that is careless, where young people are encouraged to actually look at blessers as an option, as well as wanting to be seen and recognized as a girl growing up with nothing. So it does play a big role in grooming girls in a mentorship that is also careless, where they are not looking at the age or the cognitive development of children for them to understand and appreciate the risk they'll be putting themselves under. And on social media, you must remember, nobody comes back to say, to talk about HIV, to talk about STIs or the risks associated with the behavior that they're promoting. They just promote good life, good hair, smartphones, and a nice lifestyle. And that's what most of the girls are looking for. So there's definitely an increase of social media influence on our young girls without any proper guidance.
So the soft life is not just as soft after all. Thank you so much for talking to us, Zonke. We appreciate it. That was Zonke Shazi-Hlongwane, the CEO of Ikusasa Ngelami and a child and youth care practitioner.